friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So I really wanted to make a kind of like a recap video of season 1 of bobateatales. I realized that I've fallen very behind on editing videos, and so I felt like it would have been easier to make a catch-up video than, to let you guys keep on wondering like, oh, what happened in season 1 and why is she uploading all the season 2 mission was already. And so hopefully this helps. So if you don't want to watch like the past 4 videos that I have, don't worry. This is recapping from the start all the way to the very end because I did already finish the season on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/esmelila. We are already on episode 4, I believe, of bobateatales Generation 2. So yeah, let me not stall and let's get right into this recap. To start off, I don't know if you guys remember our character who goes by the name of Bonnie Boba. Bonnie Boba, actually, I like to say she is an icon. She's a legend. She is Grace. So she met this guy who goes by the name of, I think his name was Chase, if I remember. And Mans was literally so in love with her that he proposed on the first date. And she was crazy enough that she said yes. Then she ends up, breaking up with him. And so she starts to date this guy who goes by the name of Ace. Which, speaking of which, all of the boys that she's dated all randomly have their names just, I don't know, they rhyme. And so whenever Bonnie goes to like this major, like great change in her life, I like to think that she changes her hair. And so when she broke up with Chase, I don't know if you guys remember, she had short hair. She changed, she let it grow out. And by grow out, I mean girly pop got extensions. But she met Ace, dates him, and then what do you know? Girly pop is ready, has a bun in the oven, and is expecting a baby. And so it looks like life is actually looking very well. Life looks up. It looks like they're getting ready to have their baby, which they're having a baby girl, which I believe it's in episode 3, if I remember. But they're having a baby girl. And then the very next day after the baby shower, Ace decides, you know what? I am not built for the city life. And so I know that I'm putting you in a rough position, but I have to do what's right for me. And so I'm going to move back to Chestnut Ridge. And so basically Ace leaves her, like Ace leaves Bonnie. Bonnie basically has to grow their daughter. And she's like, you know what? I may be a single mother, but I'm not going to let it stop me. And so Girly Pop, she continues on with her restaurant. She grows out her hair and dyes it black to her original color. Now, fast forward a few days and she's ready to give birth. So she goes to the hospital. What do you know? She calls up Ace and is like, hey, Ace, I'm giving birth to your daughter. You should probably come to the restaurant. And so, sorry, not restaurant, to the hospital. She calls him. He shows up and then he leaves right after to go drinking at the bar. And she found out because her friend was at the bar because they were giving out free food and she was here every single hour with her. And Bonnie was like, you know what? Go drink at the bar. So she finds out from her friend that, what do you know? Her ex-boyfriend Ace would rather be drinking than go see his daughter. And so she basically is like, you know what? You don't deserve to have Daphne in your life if you're going to do all this, yada, yada, yada. She takes him to court. And guess what? She wins. And so for the next 18 years of her life, she basically has full custody over Daphne. She's never once impeded Ace from, coming in like, hey, come see your daughter. Like, she'll invite him to parties. He just doesn't show up. Like, he wasn't willing to put in the effort. And, Bonnie wasn't going to force him to be a part of someone's life if you don't want to be. And so right after, she won the custody agreement, she's like, you know what? I'm going to go on vacation. And so Girly Pop goes on vacation. And what do you know? Her next door neighbor for the vacation, she meets him. And the guy's name is Jace. I don't know why she didn't put, make it as a red flag, but you know what? She's like, you're actually kind of so cute. And I think it's because he was very great with Daphne that she was like, you know what? Maybe I am going to give this guy a shot. And so she dates him for a little while, it looks like life is going great. She's like, I could totally see myself marrying this guy. He is basically changing the rest of the dudes. Like, wow, I think I love him. And so they decide to woohoo in a bush. And when they come out of said bush, excuse me? Yeah, so that happened. And she's like, you know what? I'm tired. I'm sick and tired of every single man who ends with the name ACE, Chase did me dirty, Ace did me dirty, and Jace is wrong. I'm sick and tired of these men. And so she was like, you know what? I'm just going to focus on my daughter, Daphne. And that same day, she decides to randomly adopt a kid, and she goes by the name of Blue because for some reason, he was dropped off at her house, and she didn't want the kid to go through, through foster care. And she's like, you know what? I'm not going to put you through that. And so you are now one of my elite employees, as I like to say. And she's like, you know what? I kind of am in desperate need of a hair change. And so Bonnie has like this major glow up, and she's looking around her apartment, and she's like, this apartment is actually kind of too small now for my family, especially now since I have baby Blue with me. I need to move out somewhere. So she moves out, embarks in her, still young adult life. She's still in charge of a restaurant, and she's waiting for this very important paper from the government, basically being like, hey, Blue is yours. Here you go. His new name is Blue Boba. And she never gets that paper in the mail. When it dawned on her, maybe it got sent to my old apartment. So she goes to her old apartment, and she meets this guy named Manolo. And they kind of hit it off, and she's like, you know what? She tells Manolo straight up. She's like, I used to live here in this apartment. I'm just waiting for this paper. But, if you ever see this paper, like, please let me know. And as she's going home, she's like, Manolo's kind of cute, but no, I need to swear off men for now. Like, I need to focus on my kids. And so for like a good 4 months, the paper never arrived. And Girly Pop focused on herself. She's making her money. She's taking care of her kids, so off and so forth. But Manolo shows up at her house because, she did leave her address with him. She's like, hey, or he's like, hey, this paper that you were waiting for, I think this is it. This came in the mail. It has your name on it. And so here you go. And so right when she's about to close the door, he calls out her name. She's like, hey, Bonnie, I know this may be a little forward, but I was wondering if you by any chance would like to go on a date. And so she's still on her, in my self-healing era. She's like, I feel like that is not the greatest. Like, I'm still getting over this like major breakup that I thought he was going to be the love of my life. Like, I don't want to put you in this relationship knowing that I possibly, there couldn't be an outcome. And so Manolo's like, you know what? I agree, but I still think you're cute. So what would you think about friends with benefits? And so they do end up becoming friends with benefits, and they're so cute together. And one day, Bonnie is like, you know what? I kind of don't feel good. And I know it could be wild because me and Manolo are safe. Let me just take this pregnancy test and see what happens. She takes a pregnancy test, and what would you know? Girly Pop is pregnant. And so she tells Manolo, she's like, hey, I'm pregnant with another child. I'm not going to force you like I did with my daughter's father. Like, if you don't want to be in this baby's life, just tell me now so I don't have to put another child through that heartbreak. I know how much it affects Daphne. And so if you're not going to stick around, tell me now so that way, like, I can find someone to assist me. And Manolo's like, are you kidding me? Like, I know we started this with Friends with Benefits, but I've always loved you. And the fact that you're having my kid doesn't defeat the fact that, I want to be there. I want to be in your life. And so he is in her life and is like, like, I love you so much. Like, I would, if you will let me, I would like to move in to help. And so he moves into their apartment, and I don't know, randomly, he's like, I just love you so much. I'm going to propose. And, Bonnie being like, I don't know anything different about love. She accepts. And so they're pregnant. They go to an ultrasound. And what would you know? Girly Pop was pregnant with triplets.
I'm in danger.
I've never wanted to cry more in my life than this moment. But Girly Pop is pregnant with triplets, 2 baby girls and 1 baby boy, thus ending her 5 kids minimum that she needed to have. And so after she has the triplets, she gives birth in this wonderful apartment. And by that, she's raising the kids there. And she notices that it's still a little bit too snug, but she doesn't want to move yet because she has, her whole life here. And so they raise her twin daughters, Marina and Ocean, and the baby boy, Rain. That's what I named them. Their names are Rain, Marina, and Ocean, they all symbolize kind of like, the rain, the water, kind of like bluish purple vibes. And so they age up the triplets and they finally have their wedding, which was one of the most wonderful days of my life. Like having this live on stream and seeing the love that the two have, it was just like, I don't know, it was just something different. Having to take all these wedding pictures, I was just like, I just loved it so much. That's all I was gonna say. And then Bonnie finally decides, you know what? I feel like it's time for us to move somewhere. Like, I don't have a great relationship with this place, but I want to give it a second try. What if we move to Chestnut Ridge? I know, Manolo, that you originally, you were born there. And I thought, you know what? I feel like it would be a great spot for our kids to grow up. Daphne and Blue, they are a child now, soon to be teenagers, but I feel like they would thrive very well in the county vibes, country vibes. And our daughters, they just became toddlers. And so they moved to Chestnut Ridge. But thus her moving to Chestnut Ridge, Bonnie had to say goodbye to her lovely restaurant that she inherited from her father. And she knows that it was bittersweet, but, as life goes on, you do have to put behind things that, you don't necessarily love anymore. And by this point, Bonnie had fallen out of love with the restaurant life. And she was more fun being a stay-at-home mom / opening her own wine business, making little trinkets, selling it there. And so Bonnie closes the chapter of her life on restaurant making, and they all moved to Chestnut Ridge. And honestly, Bonnie had a lot of fun. She had horses, she had goats, like girly pop living her best life there. And so for the next few years, they're happy. And we even celebrated Bonnie aging up to an adult, which I was like, I'm kind of sad because my Simi, she's growing older and she's just a few days away from being an elder. And it's like, we are on generation 2, but it's like kind of bittersweet. Like, hey, I'm going to miss you, Bonnie, but kind of like life, everything ages up. So the twins are becoming children. They become teens. Our girly pops, her husband and Manolo, they're living life. They're enjoying it until a few years later, Manolo, he starts getting weird. He's giving her a lot of fancy gifts, and Bonnie's never really, been like, hey, I want a fancy gift. I want all this. No, she's like, I just want your love. Like, I've been cheated on before, and I have that fear of being cheated on. All I beg is you, as like Sabrina says, please, please, please don't embarrass me. And so when all 3 triplets are teens, he, for some reason, for a whole week straight, is just giving her a lot of affection, a lot of gifts. And by that, she was like, you know what? It kind of felt weird, but I'm not going to deny it. And so they kind of felt like, I don't know, like honeymooners again. And so this has been like a good like 10, 15 years. And so they finally have a wedding party because they never actually did have a wedding party. They kind of sort of just eloped. And so the wedding pictures, they just took them for fun, but they never ever had a wedding party. And so I finally gave them a wedding party. It was in that same week that Manolo was acting weird. But you know what? I wasn't gonna say no to a wedding party. So they have a wedding party and they go to this wonderful, lovely honeymoon in Tortosa. And then while they're on a honeymoon, their kids, Ocean, Rain, and Marina, they're all just here playing their horses. We have Bonnie. And then this is actually our Ocean. Ocean started learning horseback riding, and because of this, she was greatly into fitness, and she found her rock climbing skill. And so after her wedding, Bonnie finally finishes the aspiration. I don't know if you guys can see this, but Bonnie finally finishes her aspiration, and we're gonna skip forward a little bit because somewhere around this way, we were speaking about generation 2, like we started moving on to this, and as you guys can see, she has like a whole man. Watch the machinimas to know what happened with them. But Bonnie has been hearing from town that Manu has been seen with this weird guy. And, Bonnie normally never listens to the rumors. But the rumor that she keeps hearing is that the town folks have been seeing Manu hanging out with this guy who goes by the name of Soban. And she knows that name because that is their garden ranchers / horse keeper. She hears that he takes them on secret dates, and you know, that's gotta be crazy, right? Like my husband Manu would never cheat on me. Like he promised me he wouldn't. And randomly she tells Manu like, hey, I'm gonna go with Ocean. We're gonna go on a lovely, you know, girls' night out to the picnic, to the bar, you know, not the bar, sorry. We're going out for a lovely picnic. We'll be back by then. And so, what would you guys know? It turns out that the rumors are true, and Manu has been cheating on Bonnie for the past 5 years. 5 years he's been cheating on her. I had no idea. This all randomly just started up because I heard a little thing where it's like, you know, like when the Sims are starting to woohoo. I span over and Manu's over here kissing their farm home. And I was like, I know you did not just cheat on Bonnie after you promised you wouldn't, and after she spilled her fears onto you. But he decides, you know what? Manu is asking his side piece. That's what I'm calling him, okay? His side piece. Like, hey, you know, my wife isn't gonna be home tonight. Do you want to come over? You know, we can have a wonderful time in the barn. And so when Bonnie, quote unquote, when Bonnie is out on the day with their daughter, he brings over the farmhouse. And Bonnie, you know, having little secrets, like little, I think he is cheating on me, comes home, and what do you know? She catches him in the act. So not only does the side piece get smacked, because best believe, oh, she smacked him all right, which, you know, no cheeks were left unturned. Both of them were slapped. She was pissed, as she should be. She gave Manu the smack too, like, I can't believe you would do this to me after, you know, I entrusted my fears onto you. You promised me that you wouldn't. We have 3 kids, all 3 who are about to turn the age of 18. Literally 2 days later, they were about to turn 18. I can't believe you would do this to me. I am giving you 24 hours. After 24 hours, I don't want to see you here. I don't ever want to see you in my life. I don't care if you're in our kid's life because I'm not going to deprive that from you. But I never want to see you in your life. And so, unfortunately, Bonnie and Manu, they do divorce. And thus ending season 1. Which I feel like it was kind of bittersweet. Like, Bonnie literally moved to San Myshuno because, you know, her restaurant, or her dad's restaurant used to be there. And she literally came to San Myshuno to kind of be like, you know, I heard so many great things from my dad. Like, I know him and my mom didn't really get along, but I heard, you know, San Myshuno was a wonderful, lovely place. A lot of wonderful people there. Like, I can see myself settling down. And the fact that basically her whole marriage ends up breaking apart. It's like, you know, maybe I am better off being single. And so she has like a girls' date kind of like, you know, saying like, hey, girls, I just wanted to tell you that me and your dad are divorcing because your dad decided I wasn't good enough for him and he wanted to be with someone else. And so because Ocean was there a lot for Bonnie, Bonnie got very close with Ocean and was leaving out their other daughter, Marina, which is why Marina did what she did in the Machinimas. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, just watch the Machinimas. But it does involve Benny and Ocean in the future. But TLDR, Bonnie basically, she goes back to her short hair. Originally, she was gonna leave it white, but she's like, you know what, this look isn't for me. And so she keeps the short hair and then she dyes it brown. But like after like a few months, you know, her hair grows back and she's like, you know what, I kind of like this look better. And so that is where we're ending with the Boba Generation 1 recap. Yeah, let me know down below if you guys like this recaps. I can make another one for season 2 if, you know, the episodes seem so long whenever I get to it. If you guys, you know, want like very shorter versions of it with pictures and all that, because I do take a lot of pictures because they're very helpful when I tell the story on stream. Yeah, let me know down below, what did you guys, you know, thought about basically Bonnie's whole life and how Girly Pop never had like a good loving relationship. But alright, I will see you guys again in the next video. Bye, Boba Besties.